Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph, 5 lines from the top. The Gemara is continuing with the different punishments that come for the different averas. Ba'avan Inui Adin. For the avera of Inui Adin, so Rashi explains that Inui Adin is that after the Dayanim, they come to a conclusion, but they withhold their psak. They don't release their psak. The Ivus Adin, what's Ivus Adin is that the Dayanim intentionally paskin incorrectly. They corrupt the din. The Kilkul Adin is a din that's incorrect, but they're incorrect due to the fact that the Dayanim don't take the proper care, they're not careful, they're not ma'ayin, they're careless, and it comes to a din that's incorrect. Ubitul Torah, and for the avera Bitul Torah, the punishment is Cherev Abiza Rabba, there's a sword, and the enemy comes and they plunder, they take away our possessions. V'dever B'tzeres Ba, and there's dever, there's the pestilence and B'tzeres, and people are hungry, there's a famine. U'bnei Adam oichlin v'enim sveim, and even when they eat, they're never full, they're never satiated. V'oichlim lachma b'mishkal, and they eat their bread by weight. So Rashi explains that they're so poor they can't afford to bake the bread in an oven, to have fuel for the oven. Several women bake the bread together in the oven. They take out the bread crumbles, so they have to divide the bread that they bake. So they weigh the pieces and they weigh the morsels of the bread. They do it by weight to equalize who gets what, so they have to weigh it and give each one an equivalent weight. So there's such poverty, Rahman al-Islam, that's what it comes to. Dirshu, how do we know this? Because the Pasuk says, I'll bring the sword that will be the sword of revenge, the revenge of the bris, for violating the bris. What is the bris? Shenemar im loibrisi yom v'layla. If not for my bris of day and night, which is the Torah, which is a reference to the Torah. The Torah says that lo yom Torah yom v'layla. It's the bris is referring to Torah, so therefore it's a revenge for not keeping the bris. That will be the punishment. Uksiv, and it says v'shivilachem matalechem v'afa eser noshem, and that it says that they'll break the shivri mata, the staff, the stick of the bread, meaning the support of the lechem, the sustenance, and 10 women will have to bake the breads together. Yana v'yana mishpotim also. So here's the reference to the mishpotim. This is a reference to the kilkul and the evils and the inoi of the din. Va'av and Shua Shav for the vera of Shua Shav. What's a Shua Shav? So Rashi explains the Shua Shav as opposed to Shua Sheker. Shua Shav is taking the Shem's name and for no reason. If he makes a Shua that he sees that there's a column, a pillar, he makes a Shua that it's a column, a Shua that this is a pillar. It's absolutely pointless. So he's taking Shem's name, L'Shav. Shua Sheker is if he makes a lie, he lies with the Shua. So beyond Shua's Shav, Ushua's Sheker, V'chilul Hashem, and the verb of Chilul Hashem, V'chilul Shabbos, and Chilul Shabbos, what's the punishment? Chaya Roba, the animals, the wild animals come, or Behema Kala, and there's a lessening of the behemoths. There's wild animals roaming around, and there's less behemoths. Ubnei Adam Mismatim, and there are less people. There's wild animals roaming, it's dangerous. The streets are empty, because there's danger in the streets. There's wild animals. Shenemar, how do we know this? Because the Pasuk says, if you don't take Musa from this, in all this punishments, and you still don't take Musa, Al tikri be'ela ela ba'ala. Allah is a shua, is an oath. So it's because of Allah, in an account, and you're doing a ver of Allah, uksiv, vishlakti v'chem, as chayas hasada. It says, I'll send the wild animals against you. Uksiv b'shuas sheker, and it says b'shuas sheker loisi shavishmi l'shaker. Don't make a shua sheker. And it says v'chilalta zev shem l'kecha. And it says that v'chilalta. And it says v'chilalta shem l'kecha. So now we know by the avan for the aver of shuas, we know this is a punishment. Now it says by shuas, it says chilul. It says the word chilul. It says Now we're going to connect the other places where it says chilul, and just like this is the punishment for Shavuos, where it says chilul, so too in the other places where it says chilul, this is the punishment. Chilul Shem Ksiv, it says by chilul Shem Ksiv, lo yichal Hashem koch, lo yichal Hashem koch, over chilul Shabbos Ksiv, and says mechal leha ma'is yumas. It says chilul. So in all these places it says chilul, v'yolev chilul, chilul mishua sheker. We learn out chilul mishua sheker, just like over there by the shuas, that was the punishment. So too, this is the punishment for these cases as well, for chilul Shabbos and chilul Hashem. Ba'avan shvichus domim, for the avera of shvichus domim, for killing, for murder. What's the punishment? Beis Hamikdash charav, becomes a churban Beis Hamikdash. Shechina mistalekas Yisrael. The Shechina departs from Yisrael. Shenemar lo yisachnifu. It says lo yisachnif. Don't bring an avera. Don't bring guilt upon the land. Lo yisachnifu. V'lo yisasames aretz asher atem yeshim bo. And don't make the land tomei. So don't make it lo yisachnifu. And it says don't make the land. Don't be matama the land, as shayar ani sheichem b'seichem, which I'm dwelling, the land which I'm dwelling in. What does that mean? The land I'm dwelling? That's Hashor Shechina. So atem matam ma'isa, but meaning if you are going to be matamed, einchem yoshim bo, you will not rest in the land. Veini sheichem b'seichem. To be in the land for you, for Klal Yisrael to be in the land, and to be Hashor Shechina, there can't be tuma. If you're going to be matamed the land, then you're going to depart, Klal Yisrael and the Shechina. Ba'avan gili arayas, for the vera, for arayas, for Vedas Kochavim, Vashmata Shemitah in Yovel, and not keeping Shemitah in Yovel, Golus Bol Oilam, the punishment is Golus. Ubegalin Oisam, and then Klal Yisrael is exiled from the land, Uboy Macher, V'yeshim V'kaim, and other people come in their place, and they take over. Shenemar, Kies Kol Atoye Yisrael, also on Shei Aretz. It says that before we came to Eretz Yisrael, it says the Canaanim, they did all of these averas in the land. And they made the land tomei, and their averas, they were punished for the averas. And let it be not that the land should throw you out, to throw you away, Taki Aretz, for being metamed. And by Avodah Zarah it says Nasati es Pikrechem, and I will says you make the Mikdash desolate, and I'll scatter you among the nations. That's Golus. So therefore it says that we see over here as well that by Avodas Kochavim there is Golus and there's a Churban. Then, so the first one we see is by Arayas, that Kol HaToyev also on Shei Aretz, the Canaanim, they did these averas of Arayas, and it says, and they did these averas, they were thrown out of the land, and you should not be thrown out of the land for making atonement. For Avodah Zorah, it says that Vashimoises Megishem Ve'eschem Azor. B'Shmit and V'Yoel, the Gemara continues to see, as Tirtz Harzah Shapsei said, Kol Yemei Hashem. The land will then, Tirtzet, to be appeased, the land, for all of the years that there was supposed to be a Shemitah, there was supposed to be a Yovel, and there wasn't. V'atem Be'eretz Eivecha, and you're not in Eretz Yisrael, you're Be'eretz Eivecha. Oksiv, Kol Yemei Hashem, Tishbois. And all of those years, then the land will rest. The Gemara continues, Ba'ovan Nivlis Peh, for the Avera of Nivel Peh, of speaking with an obscene language. Soras Rabbas Xeris Koshas Mischachas. There's Soras and there's new Xeris, very harsh Xeris, they increase. Bachori Seini Yisrael Mesim, and the young Bachurim of Seini Yisrael, which is a reference to Yisrael, they die. And the Yisayim, they cry out, the Yisayim and Almonas, and there's no answer. For the young ones, Hashem will not rejoice over the Bachur. And he won't have rachim on them. Why? Because there's all chanifas and rishus. Chanifas is being echad b'peh v'echad b'leiv is hypocrisy. V'chol peh dover nevola, and it says every mouth speaks nevola, nivel peh. And v'chol zois leishav apoy v'od yadai netuya. And even with all of that, his anger hasn't turned away, and his hand is still outstretched. My v'od yadai netuya. What does that mean? Rav Chanan bar Rav means hakol yodim kol lamach l'so chuppah. Everyone knows why the kala goes to the chuppah, and everyone knows when she's married why she goes to the the room of the chassan. Ala kol menavel piv afilo chaysem lag zardin shel shiv mishana l'toiva. But someone who says and he speaks out and why she goes there, even if this person had a sealed zardin l'toiva for good for 70 years, hayfan of l'ra, then hayfan l'ra it will change to ra. So therefore, we have oid yona netuya. The oid yona netuya is his hand is still outstretched. It means 70 years, forever. It's still outstretched. 70 years is an expression that 70 years is a lifespan of a person. So oid, his entire life, he had exar din l'toya for 70 years, and Rahman al-San will be overturned. Omer Rabba Bar Shila Omer of Chisda Akol Haminavelis Piv Mamikim Le Gehenim. If his Minavel Piv, they lower the Gehenim for him. Chas v'shalom. Shenema Sheikh Amuke Pizoras. It's a deep pit, a mouth that speaks. Pizoras, something zara which shouldn't be said, things that shouldn't be said. It's Shucha Amuke. It's a deep pit. The Gehenim is made deeper for him. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Omar, even the person who just hears it and he doesn't protest, even if it's not the one who speaks it, he doesn't protest, it's also Shanemar Zoyim Hashem Yipol Sham. What Hashem hates, he'll fall in there. So it's not dafka the person that speaks, it's what's hated by Hashem. And if a person doesn't protest against something so disgusting, then he's considered Zoyim Hashem. Someone who's mamarik. Mamarik means usually to scrub and cleanse himself, meaning he's mamarik himself. He takes himself away from other things in order to do averas. He takes away other things. He doesn't do other things. He puts his efforts and his free time. He frees up time in order to do averas. What happens? He has chaburas and psoim. He has wounds. And he has different types of welts on his body. Because how do we know this? Because the pasuk says chaburas petza tamruk bara. It's chaburas petza or tamruk bara. Someone is mamarik. Tamruk is mamarik. If he's mamarik himself to do wrong for avera, then he has chaburas petza. V'loyod el shenidon b'hadreikin. He gets afflicted with this disease called hadroikin, which is a type of swelling disease. Shenemar umaka is chadrivotan. It's a maka of the chadrivotan, the inner part of the stomach. Hadroikin afflicts, it's a swelling of the stomach. Amr of Nachman bar Yitzchak, siman laver hadroikin. A simon that a person did avera if he is afflicted with the disease of hadroikin. Tan rabban shleishim min hadroikin hein shel avera ava. If it's on a result of an avera, then it's thick. The skin becomes thick. If it's on account of a famine that he's starving, then it's swelling the skin. If it comes through kishav, through sorcery, the skin is dark, it's thin. Shmuel Katan, he was afflicted with this hadroikin. Omer, so he davened to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Omer, Rebbeinu Shalom. Mi mepis, who's the one that's going to now reveal and determine that it's not because of Nevera? Who's the one who's going to be able to? People will think, well, hadroikin comes from Nevera. Now, it comes for other reasons as well. But people might think that he got the hadroikin because of Nevera. Who's going to clarify it and say that it's not because of Nevera? So it'll be Moitzi Shemra. So there, his tefillah was answered and he was cured. Abaya also was afflicted. Omer Rava Yadana be benachmeni the mach v'nafshi. He says, I know Nachmeni is a term for Abaya because he was his father was of Nachman. So he said that I know that he doesn't eat, and hadroikin comes from starving. So I know that that's the reason. So therefore, give him food and therefore he'll be healed. Rava Chashbe. Rava also was afflicted with this disease, with this hydrokin. Frank the Gemara, how was it that Rava was afflicted with this disease? Now, it certainly didn't come about because of an avera. Now, Rava said about Abaye that he doesn't eat properly, he doesn't eat enough, and that's why he got afflicted, so he presumably would have been careful with that. Now, another way that it comes is if a person is not careful in relieving himself, and when he has to go to the bathroom, he holds himself back. But Rava himself was certainly aware of that, because he said, Rava himself said that more people die from the stomach disease by not relieving themselves properly and holding themselves back more than from hunger. So how was it that Rava himself was afflicted with this hadroikin? Rava, he had to give the shir, and there was a Talmidim, and the Talmidim, he had the pressure and the schedule of the Talmidim, and teaching and answering the Talmidim, and therefore he couldn't always relieve himself when he had to, and that brought about this hadroikin.